Good evening, and welcome to Third Church of Christ Scientist of New York City. Let's begin with singing hymn number 291. I'll read the second verse. What thou shalt today provide, let me as a little child receive. What tomorrow may betide, calmly to thy wisdom leave. 'Tis enough that thou wilt care. Why should I the burden bear? Number 291. I'll read from the Bible and from the Christian Science textbook, Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures by Mary Baker Eddy. The topic of this evening's readings is prudence. The Bible. Proverbs. Doth not wisdom cry, and understanding put forth her voice? She standeth in the top of high places, by the way in the places of the paths. She crieth at the gates, at the entry of the city, at the coming in of the doors. Unto you, O men, I call, and my voice is to the sons of man. O ye simple, understand wisdom, and ye fools, be ye of an understanding heart. Hear, for I will speak of excellent things, and the opening of my lips shall be right things. For my mouth shall speak truth, and wickedness is an abomination to my lips. All the words of my mouth are in righteousness. There is nothing froward or perverse in them. They are all plain to him that understandeth, and right to them that find knowledge. Receive my instruction, and not silver, and knowledge rather than choice gold. For wisdom is better than rubies, and all the things that may be desired are not to be compared to it. I, wisdom, dwell with prudence. The wisdom of the prudent is to understand his way, but the folly of fools is deceit. The simple believeth every word, but the prudent man looketh well to his going. The simple inherit folly, but the prudent are crowned with knowledge. Isaiah. The Lord hath made bare his holy arm in the eyes of all the nations, and all the ends of the earth shall see the salvation of our God. Depart ye, go ye out from thence. Touch no unclean thing. Go ye out of the midst of her. Be ye clean that bear the vessels of the Lord. For ye shall not go out with haste, nor go by flight. For the Lord will go before you, and the God of Israel will be your rearward. Behold, my servant shall deal prudently. He shall be exalted and extolled, and be very high. Genesis. God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing and the fowls of the air, for it repenteth me that I have made them. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. The earth also was corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with violence. And God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt. For all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth. And God said unto Noah, The end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them, and behold, I will destroy them with the earth. Make thee an ark of gopher wood. Rooms shalt thou make in the ark, and shall pitch it within and without with pitch. And this is the fashion which thou shalt make it of. The length of the ark shall be 300 cubits, the breadth of it 50 cubits, and the height of it 30 cubits. A window shalt thou make to the ark, and in a cubit shalt thou finish it above. And the door of the ark shalt thou set in the side thereof, with lower, second, and third stories shalt thou make it. And behold, I, even I, do bring a flood of waters upon the earth, to destroy all flesh, wherein is the breath of life from under heaven, and everything that is in the earth shall die. But with thee will I establish my covenant, and thou shalt come into the ark, thou and thy sons, and thy wife, and thy sons' wives with thee. And of every living thing of all flesh, 2 of every sort shalt thou bring into the ark, to keep them alive with thee. They shall be male and female. Of fowls after their kind, and of cattle after their kind, of every creeping thing of the earth after his kind. 2 of every sort shall come unto thee, to keep them alive. And take thou unto thee of all food that is eaten, and thou shalt gather it to thee, and it shall be for food to thee and for them. Thus did Noah. According to all that God commanded him, so did he. And Noah was 600 years old when the floods of waters was upon the earth. And Noah went in, and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives with him, into the ark, because of the waters of the flood. And it came to pass after 7 days that the waters of the flood were upon the earth. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, the 17th day of the month, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened. And the rain was upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. In the selfsame day entered Noah and Shem and Ham and Japheth, the sons of Noah, and Noah's wife, and the 3 wives of his sons with them into the ark. They and every beast after his kind, and all the cattle after their kind, and every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth after his kind, and every fowl after his kind, every bird of every sort. And they went in unto Noah into the ark, 2 and 2 of all flesh, wherein is the breath of life. And they that went in male and female of all flesh, as God had commanded him. And the Lord shut him in. And the flood was 40 days upon the earth, and the waters increased, and bare up the ark, and it was lift up above the earth. And God remembered Noah, and every living thing, and all the cattle that was with him in the ark. And God made a wind to pass over the earth, and the waters assuaged. And the waters returned from off the earth continually, and after the end of the 150 days, the waters were abated. And the ark rested in the 7th month, on the 17th day of the month, upon the mountains of Ararat. And it came to pass at the end of 40 days that Noah opened the window of the ark which he had made. And he sent forth a raven, which went forth to and fro until the waters were dried up from off the earth. And he sent forth a dove from him to see if the waters were abated from off the face of the ground. But the dove found no rest for the sole of her foot, and she returned unto him into the ark, for the waters were on the face of the whole earth. Then he put forth his hand and took her and pulled her in unto him into the ark. And he stayed yet other 7 days, and again he sent forth the dove out of the ark. And the dove came in to him in the evening, and lo, in her mouth was an olive leaf plucked off. So Noah knew that the waters were abated from off the earth. And he stayed yet another 7 days, and sent forth the dove, which returned not again unto him any more. And it came to pass in the 601st year, in the 1st month, the 1st day of the month, the waters were dried up from off the earth. And Noah removed the covering of the ark, and looked, and behold, the face of the ground was dry. And God spake unto Noah, saying, Go forth of the ark, thou and thy wife, and thy sons wives with thee. Bring forth with thee every living thing that is with thee, of all flesh, both of fowl and of cattle, and of every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth, that they may breed abundantly in the earth, and be fruitful, and multiply upon the earth. And Noah went forth, and his sons, and his wife, and his sons' wives with him, every beast, every creeping thing, and every fowl, and whatsoever creepeth upon the earth after their kinds, went forth out of the ark. And Noah builded an altar unto the Lord, and took of every clean beast and of every clean fowl, and offered burnt offerings on the altar. Matthew. Jesus went about all the cities and villages, teaching in their synagogues, and preaching the gospel of the kingdom, and healing every sickness and every disease among the people. But when he saw the multitudes, he was moved with compassion on them, because they fainted, and were scattered abroad as sheep having no shepherd. Then saith he unto his disciples, The harvest truly is plenteous, but the laborers are few. Pray ye therefore the Lord of the harvest, that he will send forth laborers into his harvest. And when he had called unto him his 12 disciples, he gave them power against unclean spirits to cast them out, and to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease. These 12 Jesus sent forth and commanded them, saying, Go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into any city of the Samaritans enter ye not, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And as ye go, preach, saying, The kingdom of heaven is at hand. heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, raise the dead, cast out devils. Freely ye have received, freely give. Provide neither gold nor silver nor brass in your purses, nor scrip for your journey, neither 2 coats, neither shoes, nor yet staves, for the workman is worthy of his meat. And into whatsoever city or town ye shall enter, inquire who in it is worthy, and there abide till ye go thence. And when ye come into an house, salute it. And if the house be worthy, let your peace come upon it. But if it be not worthy, let your peace return to you. And whosoever shall not receive you, nor hear your words, when ye depart out of that house or city, shake off the dust of your feet. Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents, and harmless as doves. I'll now read correlative passages from Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures by Mary Baker Eddy. It is the prerogative of the ever-present divine mind and of thought which is in rapport with this mind to know the past, the present, and the future. Acquaintance with the science of being enables us to commune more largely with the divine mind, to foresee and foretell events which concern the universal welfare, to be divinely inspired, yea, to reach the range of fetterless mind. Students are advised by the author to be charitable and kind, not only towards differing forms of religion and medicine, but to those who hold these differing opinions. Let us be faithful in pointing the way through Christ as we understand it, but let us also be careful always to judge righteous judgment and never to condemn rashly. Whosoever shall smite thee on thy right cheek, turn to him the other also. That is, fear not that he will smite thee again for thy forbearance. If ecclesiastical sects or medical schools turn a deaf ear to the teachings of Christian Science, then part from those opponents, as did Abraham when he parted from Lot, and say in thy heart, let there be no strife, I pray thee, between me and thee, and between my herdmen and thy herdmen, for we be brethren. Immortals, or God's children in divine science, are one harmonious family. But mortals, or the children of men in material sense, are discordant and ofttimes false brethren. The teacher must make clear to students the science of healing, especially its ethics, that all is mind, and that the scientist must conform to God's requirements. Also, the teacher must thoroughly fit his students to defend themselves against sin and to guard against the attacks of the would-be mental assassin who attempts to kill morally and physically. No hypothesis as to the existence of another power should interpose a doubt or fear to hinder the demonstration of Christian Science. Unfold the latent energies and capacities for good in your pupil. Teach the great possibilities of man endued with divine science. Christian Science silences human will, quiets fear with truth and love, and illustrates the unlabored motion of the divine energy in healing the sick. We weep because others weep. We yawn because they yawn. And we have smallpox because others have it. But mortal mind, not matter, contains and carries the infection. When this mental contagion is understood, we shall be more careful of our mental conditions and we shall avoid loquacious tattling about disease as we would avoid advocating crime. Stand porter at the door of thought, admitting only such conclusions as you wish realized in bodily results. You will control yourself harmoniously. When the condition is present which you say induces disease, whether it be air, exercise, heredity, contagion, or accident, then perform your office as porter and shut out these unhealthy thoughts and fears. Exclude from mortal mind the offending errors, then the body cannot suffer from them. The issues of pain or pleasure must come through mind, and, like a watchman forsaking his post, we admit the intruding belief, forgetting that through divine help we can forbid this entrance. The body seems to be self-acting only because mortal mind is ignorant of itself, of its own actions, and of their results, ignorant that the predisposing, remote, and exciting cause of all bad effects is a law of so-called mortal mind, not of matter. Mind is the master of the corporeal senses and can conquer sickness, sin, and death. Exercise this God-given authority. Take possession of your body and govern its feeling and action. Rise in the strength of spirit to resist all that is unlike good. God has made man capable of this, and nothing can vitiate the ability and power divinely bestowed on man. Be firm in your understanding that the divine mind governs, and that in science, man reflects God's government. Have no fear that matter can ache, swell, and be inflamed as the result of a law of any kind, when it is self-evident that matter can have no pain nor inflammation. Your body would suffer no more from tension or wounds than the trunk of a tree which you gash, or the electric wire which you stretch, were it not for mortal mind. It is unwise to doubt if reality is in perfect harmony with God, divine principle, if science, when understood and demonstrated, will destroy all discord, since you admit that God is omnipotent. For from this premise it follows that good and its sweet concords have all power. The realization that all inharmony is unreal brings objects and thoughts into human view in their true light and presents them as beautiful and immortal. Harmony in man is as real and immortal as in music. Discord is unreal and mortal. If God is admitted to be the only mind and life, there ceases to be any opportunity for sin and death. When we learn in science how to be perfect, even as our Father in heaven is perfect, thought is turned into new and healthy channels towards the contemplation of things immortal and away from materiality to the principle of the universe, including harmonious man. Let's pray together silently for a few moments, and then pray aloud together the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Let's sing hymn number 65. From glory unto glory, be this our joyous song. From glory unto glory, 'tis love that leads us on. As wider yet and wider the rising splendors glow, what wisdom is revealed to us, what freedom we may know. Number 65. This church is a branch of the Mother Church, the First Church of Christ Scientist in Boston, Massachusetts. We hold Sunday services at 11 a.m. and Wednesday testimony meetings at 7:30 p.m. We also have services in Spanish, Sundays at 1 p.m. and Wednesdays at 5:30 p.m. All services are held online and in person, and all are welcome. Third Church offers Sunday school classes online and in person for children and teens. These free one-hour classes are available each Sunday. At Sunday school, students learn how much God loves them and cares for them. They also learn about the Bible characters and lessons and the healing power of prayer. For more information on times and classes, please send us an email, thirdchurch@thirdchurch.nyc.com. Third Church maintains a reading room on the lower level of this building. The reading room provides a quiet place for prayer and study, and all are welcome. Here you may purchase books and recordings on Christian Science. The reading room has the latest issues of the Christian Science Monitor, an award-winning international news weekly, available to read or purchase. Reading room hours are Monday through Friday from 1 to 4 p.m. The members of this church invite you to an in-person Easter talk in the church on Friday, April 7th at 7:30 p.m. Christy Hanslick will speak on Feeling Genuine Joy in Difficult Times. The talk will also be streamed live in English and Spanish. Seasonal music begins at 7:15 p.m., featuring vocalists Matthew Hammond and Davia Flaherty. Child care is free and includes a puppet show. Please visit our website, thirdchurchnyc.com, for further details. We look forward to welcoming you on Friday, April 7th. I'll read from the Manual of the Mother Church by Mary Baker Eddy. Article 8, Section 24, titled Testimonials. Glorify God in your body and in your spirit, which are God's. St. Paul. Testimony in regard to the healing of the sick is highly important. More than a mere rehearsal of blessings, it scales the pinnacle of praise and illustrates the demonstration of Christ, who healeth all thy diseases. Psalm 103:3. This testimony, however, shall not include a description of symptoms or of suffering, though the generic name of the disease may be indicated. This bylaw applies to testimonials which appear in the periodicals and to those which are given at the Wednesday evening meeting. Christian Science is practical and it heals. Our meeting is now open for all to share experiences of healing and spiritual insights that prove God's ever-presence and power in their lives. If you're listening by telephone, press *6 and wait until your line is muted. Please speak directly into the microphone of your phone, as your message will be easier to hear if you do not use the speaker function. If you're watching via Zoom, you can choose the raise your hand icon or unmute yourself and speak.
Thank you very much. Lovely readings and prudence. And to material sense, what we do spiritually is not very prudent. And to spiritual sense, material sense is not prudent. And what may seem very unintelligent to material sense is really the most intelligent thing we can do. A number of years ago, I was working up in Boston for one of the second largest insurance companies. They had purchased John Hancock, and I was working down in Copley Square as a consultant there. And while I was there, I decided to attend the Mother Church. I stayed at the Midtown Hotel right across from the Mother Church. It was a beautiful, beautiful time. And I went to the Mother Church services. They were holding the Wednesday night meetings then in the original Mother Church. And much like the reader does here, the reader there announced the topic of the Wednesday night service before the service. And the topic was the Mideast situation. And it was all about, the readings were all about that. And I had been working and a lot about terrorism. And I had been working with the idea that, and I got up and gave a testimony to this effect, that I had been in Vietnam and I had encountered, situations where you're face to face with the enemy, as they say. And what do you do? And I said to them in the testimony that there's no defense against terrorism. There is absolutely no material, physical way you can protect yourself against a terrorist. If he's out to get you physically, there's absolutely no way you're going to be able to stop that. I said the only defense against terrorism is to love the terrorist. You have to love the terrorist. That doesn't sound very prudent, but I said, you have to love the terrorist, and the terrorist has no defense against love. We see in Revelation that it's a lamb. The lamb of love slays the dragon, because the dragon can't war with it. So that the terrorist, the only defense against terrorism is you have to love the terrorist. I don't know if I mentioned before, but I was on an ambush once in Vietnam. We were called out. The chief had been threatened by there were large enemy forces in the area, and we were trying to defend the villagers, and the chief called on us for help because they were going to come and kill all the men and children and rape the women if they didn't get the rice crop. So we set up an ambush in the rice paddy, waiting for them, and I didn't want to kill anybody, but in war, in combat, when you're called upon to fire your weapon, it's a court-martial offense not to fire, because it's cowardice. You're going to draw fire on yourself, and you're not protecting your fellow men if you don't fire. So I knew at the time I was going to have to fire if once they came along. And I worked to love the enemy. I was working with a dear practitioner who later became my teacher, who said, George, you have to love the enemy. So I said, I'm going to love the enemy. There's nothing in the Uniform Code of Military Justice which says I can't pray against the ambush. It says I can't love the enemy. Well, we pulled watches through the night. My turn came, and the morning came, and nobody had ever come. And we found out that, yes, there was some activity late at night, but they turned back. They never came. And to me, there was a small incidence of love. And so I gave that testimony at that Wednesday night at the Mother Church, and saying that we have to love the terrorist. And I went back to my motel. I wasn't watching TV or anything. I was just working. The next day, I went up to my office and logged onto the computer, and immediately I saw a news flash. Jill Carroll had been released. Jill Carroll was a Monitor correspondent, Christian Science Monitor correspondent, that had been kidnapped by the terrorists. And her fate was very concerning. She had just been released. Chills just went up and down my spine. And so same happened to other people I talked to. The next Wednesday, the Mother Church took out a full ad in the Boston Globe inviting the entire community of Boston to the Wednesday night meeting to give gratitude. And it was held in the main edifice, the extension. And at the time, I knew that idea of loving the terrorists is going to rattle a few cages. And sure enough, and at that meeting, they acknowledged that her release was a result of that idea of loving the terrorists. Wonderful article in periodicals by Paul Stark Seeley, Neither Villain Nor Victim, shows that it's a pair event. You can't be a victim if you refuse to see a villain. So many times, if we're in a villain-victim scenario, our knee-jerk reaction is to pray for our defense, but that prayer is going to be in vain as long as we're seeing a villain. It's no more true about the villain than it is the victim. When I ever see a villain-victim scenario in the news or something, I feel so sorry for the victim, and I get more angry for the villain. But it's no more true about the villain than it is about the victim. And so we can never be a victim if we refuse to see a villain.
Thank you. I have a testimony to read that was sent in from a listener in Connecticut. These are the words of the testifier. As I prepared for an anticipated week-long vacation, the following assurance by Mary Baker Eddy in the Christian Science textbook proved refreshingly true. The author of Science and Health writes, "If divine love is becoming nearer, dearer, and more real to us, matter is then submitting to spirit." That's page 239, lines 18 to 20. Let me tell how matter submitted to spirit several times during my recent holiday. Matter is, in Mary Baker Eddy's words, defined in part as illusion, the opposite of God, the opposite of truth. That's from Science and Health, page 591. I'll start first with the ending of the trip. A set of trekking poles, which are metal hiking sticks, was rejected at the security point on the return trip. I was told they would have to go as baggage, but there was no one to consult at the airline I was flying, and I did not have a bag in which to ship them or a box. I had arrived early at the airport, so I tried for several hours to solve the problem, but repeated contacts to airport personnel or shipping services like FedEx were unsuccessful. The worst part was that nobody seemed interested in helping. The final blow came when the lady at the Welcome Center seemed to relish telling me that, no, I couldn't bring poles through the gate. There was a display of about 100 pounds of rejected items, including penknives, lighters, and trekking poles, in a plexiglass box in the middle of the terminal, and I felt the airport was unnecessarily targeting visitors. The airport in the city I came from had allowed these items to pass security. I was preparing to vent frustration about the airport in a Facebook post when I decided to use a vending machine to get a hot drink. The faulty dispenser gave me only a scant ounce of liquid, and now I was really mad. I looked up, and there was the Welcome Center booth again. I decided to walk over and report the broken beverage equipment. In the time to cross the passage, about 30 seconds, I thought about the Christian Science Bible lesson of the week on the topic of reality and its theme of looking deep into truth to find what's real. All afternoon I knew there was a solution, but I was frustrated in finding it. I thought of the young fisherman, Simon Peter, being told to cast into the deep, and he found a huge haul of fish. I resolved to trust spiritual reality and not matter and its negativity. By the time I got to the Welcome Center, I had decided to say to the lady in a humorous way, with a smile, "You won't believe the kind of day I've had," and mention the lack of beverage I was served. She immediately showed sympathy. I again explained my problem with the trekking poles, which had been a gift. I concluded by saying if I had to leave behind the poles, I was not going to leave them for the plexiglass box, but instead I would bring them to the Welcome Center to be donated to someone. At that point, her face brightened, and she said, "I'll tell you what I'll do." And she offered to ship them for me if I would prepay the cost. This was accomplished, and before I boarded the plane, she sent me a text that she had already shipped them, and in 3 days they'd be delivered. I felt truly blessed, and my whole experience at the airport changed from that point. Everyone was friendly and helpful, even joyful. Now, briefly, to go to the start of the trip. I decided I needed new eyeglasses, but when I made inquiries, my regular provider couldn't deliver glasses in time. I called other sources, and finally one said yes, it could be done, and in fact delivered the glasses a few days early. About the same time, a week before departure, I decided to apply for pre-check security status, which requires an interview, and I was told it would take 3 to 5 weeks to get approved. 2 days later, however, the status was granted. If divine love is becoming nearer, dearer, and more real to us, matter is then submitting to spirit. The matter oppositions that would limit the goodness of God were defeated at every turn. An abiding trust in God good and letting go of doubt, fear, anger, and negative feelings leads us to experience harmony, a flow of positive events and experiences in total agreement. Not every situation requires specific prayer to arrive at a solution. The Christian Science Bible lesson supplies the daily bread to fortify a person to meet challenges. I am grateful for Christian Science. Our thanks to the testifier.
Thank you for your readings on prudence. As I was listening, it seemed to me, a couple of the Bible stories, prudence was anticipating what might be coming in the future and preparing for it. Noah was told for actions to take which prepared him for something that was coming in the near future. Similarly, when Jesus was talking to his disciples and telling them how to pack, or not pack, as it were, he was preparing them for the future, what things that were coming up. He was giving them advice, And they were preparing mentally for what was coming soon. I think the great benefit of church and reading the Bible lessons and sharing in the community of singing prepares us for the future in a way. The best way to prepare for the future is to have a very clear sense of what our goals are, that for which we're striving, that for which we're seeking. Of course, Mrs. Eddy tells us our greatest need is the prayer of fervent desire for growth in grace, expressed in patience, meekness, love, and good deeds. Those are spiritual goals and the growth in grace. And I think in my understanding of growing in grace is putting aside a sense of self separate from God and identifying properly as being the reflection or the child of God, of seeking to be and to hold thought in accord with the mind that Christ Jesus illustrated, being in accord with his Father. The previous speaker spoke well that what seems prudent to material sense seems foolishness in spirit and vice versa. Our lessons on reality and unreality shape what we value and what we don't, what we believe and what we don't, what we rely on and what we don't. And all of these things prepare us for for the day, for the near future, for eternal life, if you will. And I'm very grateful for the spiritual sense of prudence.
Thank you. Thank you all for your testimonies, your presence, your prayers, and your thoughtful participation in this meeting. We'll conclude with singing hymn number 58. This is the Ode to Joy from Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. And I will read the poem, words by Elizabeth C. Adams, that constitute the hymn. Father, we, thy loving children, lift our hearts in joy today, knowing well that thou wilt keep us ever in thy blessed way. Thou art love, and thou art wisdom, thou art life, and thou art all. In thy spirit, living, moving, we shall neither faint nor fall. Come we daily then, dear Father, open hearts and willing hands, eager ears, expectant, joyful, ready for thy right commands. We would hear no other voices, we would heed no other call. Thou alone art good and gracious, thou our mind, and thou our all. In thy house securely dwelling, where thy children live to bless, seeing only thy creation, we can share thy happiness, share thy joy, and spend it freely. Loyal hearts can feel no fear. We, thy children, know thee, Father, love and life forever near. Number 58.